Welcome to the Angus Conversation. I'm your host, Miranda Reiman, with my co-host, Mark McCully, CEO of the American Angus Association. And Mark, we just wrapped up our third and final Junior Takeover episode here in Tulsa.
Yeah, it was another really, really great episode. I know listeners are going to enjoy these on their travels back, or maybe picking them up for the first time. But they were just nine, because of our junior board members that co-hosted with us. Just some outstanding young people.
Absolutely. If that doesn't give you a lot of faith in the future of the Angus breed and the egg industry in general, I don't know what does.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So we, of course, are kind of front-loading. We're recording these at the beginning of the week, and we'll be releasing them at the end of the week. So there's a big portion of Junior Show you won't hear us talk about on this podcast that we'd encourage you to go check out our Angus Journal social channels, go check out the NJAA pages, and be sure to pick up your September issue of the Angus Journal because there will be full coverage in there. But thinking about what happened just today, you were involved in the CAB cook-off contest.
Yes.
It's kind of a fan favorite.
I always say it's a good gig if you can get it. Yeah, Julie Mays, our editor of Angus Journal, was also joined as one of the judges, and we got Julie was in the steak division. I got to be in the. Julie was in the ground beef division. I got to be in the roast division, and there was a steak division. And for those that aren't familiar with the CAB cook-off, it is the auxiliary puts it together. 40 plus years that has been going on, and I think every year there's skits. It's all about how would a group of young folks come together and talk about certified Angus beef to a consumer audience. So they talk about the specs, they talk about the importance of the specs, and I'll do it in a really fun, relatable way for a consumer. And then they prepare these great meals that we get to partake in. So I'm full. I'm really full. I had 8 really good roast. It was top sirloin was what I got to sample 8 times, and they did a great job.
It's like a small mini version of dinner and a show times 8.
Times 8, yeah. Exactly. The creativity and of the young folks and their excitement, enthusiasm for doing it. I mean, it's a real highlight of the week.
And also definitely highlights how we learn to work as a team as part of the National Junior Angus Association, because that's a team of kids. We also had team fitting today. Yep. I think team sales is coming up yet.
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. So lots of there's a lot of chance to have personal success here through public speaking and, whether you're showing an animal, but there's also a lot of opportunities to find that kind of teamwork and how you work together as a team.
Absolutely. There's some young folks here on different teams that maybe don't even have cattle here, but they're here jumping on maybe a fitting team or jumping on I know some of the cook-off kids today were, you had some siblings, you had some friends, and you could tell they've worked together and practiced, and it was, it's fun to watch the teamwork come together.
Well, that is one thing that we've talked a lot about here is Angus community. We talk a lot about it with our adult members, but it really shines through in the week here in Tulsa. And this episode that you're about to listen to focuses all on that, finding your community of people when you get together this once-a-year spot.
Yes, I got to hear some great examples of young folks that, I think the one thing that we heard many times is sometimes it takes a step out of your comfort zone, right? And some young folks that took that step and then have reaped the rewards of building this really big community and finding folks that had similar interests and now become lifelong friends.
So we hope you enjoy these episodes on the way home and give us feedback, and we'll look forward to continuing on this tradition probably next year at this time. So today's guest co-host is Cailee Kraft. She's a Colorado native, West Texas A&M graduate, and working in Amarillo right now. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're currently serving on the National Junior Angus board for your second year in a row.
Yep, I'm currently
done.
Yeah, I'm super excited and I've enjoyed it. I'm currently the secretary, so we have a few more days here until closing ceremony, and we'll get to wrap it up at lead.
So what are some of your biggest responsibilities here this week?
We have got to put on AMP, which is probably my favorite, and it's a good reminder of what this is all about and for, just getting to connect with those kids. Today I was at the golf tournament, and so we do some of everything, really.
Yeah.
I understand that people could give a donation to get putted closer into the hole and you were one of the putters?
Yes, ma'am. For the most part, most of my putts went closer, but
Very good.
practicing my golfing, so that was great.
There you go.
Good turnout at the golf tournament today?
Yes, from what I heard, it turned out just as Foundation had planned, and the weather was fantastic.
Yep.
Lots of teams, lots of fun from everyone involved.
Awesome.
Very good. Well, one of the things that we wanted to cover on this podcast and what today's kind of focus is finding your Angus community. So what a great event to be at to talk about Angus community. And then we're going to switch to the podcast. But I'm going to let you, Kylie, introduce our guests for today.
Of course. So we're sitting here with Cailee Flood from Oakdale, California. She currently graduated high school and is planning on attending K-State, studying ag business pre-law this fall. She's been a close friend. We've done many conferences together, whether that's LEAD or Raising the Bar. I've got to know her pretty well through the Angus community. I'm grateful to call you a close friend.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to just dig into more of the what Angus community means to you.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm so excited to be here today.
So you'll be on Central Time in no time at all. We were talking about the
Yes.
time difference, and she drew very first in the first heat in the fitting contest. So that meant an early morning here.
Yes, it was 5 a.m. here, which wasn't too bad, but back home it was 3 a.m. and that's a little earlier than I normally wake up. But it, it's all for the fun, and being able to hang out with my Angus community and Angus friends is something that I'll always have no problem waking up early for. So I really enjoy it.
So she went from that to from the fitting contest to livestock judging.
Yes, to
there was something
state
else.
meeting.
State meeting,
for
that's
my
right.
California Junior Angus Association. Yes, busy day.
Yeah,
Busy day.
cramming as
Okay.
much in as possible.
Yes.
Yeah. And how many national junior shows have you attended, Cailee?
This is going to be my third
Third one.
show. Yes,
Awesome.
my third National Junior Angus Show.
Awesome.
Very
Very
good.
good.
Well, glad to have you here. She's
My
counting
fourth,
now.
My fourth Junior
Missed
Angus Show.
one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. It's my fourth.
Time goes by
It does
fast.
go by really fast.
Very good.
Our other guest on the podcast is Tripp Gibson from Mount Ayres, New Mexico. He attended Junior Nationals for the first time in 2020, right here in Tulsa. Fun fact, that was also my first Junior Nationals. So we are all here.
You're on the same track.
Yeah. Getting to meet all sorts of people.
That was a different one. That was the COVID year.
It was.
That was the
Yeah.
COVID year. Yeah. Masks and all sorts of crazy stuff we were doing, right?
Yeah, that was crazy having it in my first year here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The slogan, "It's all okay," rang true. And here we are again. And your brother Hayes, it's his first time showing here in Tulsa as well, correct?
Yeah, it's cool that our first time is at the same place.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we were remarking earlier that when we said who's on the podcast, and that I'd say a name, and then somebody'd say, "Oh, that's the only one here from New Mexico." That's usually what you've kind of been known for. But
Yeah.
this year, when you walked in the ring, I said, "Well, they've doubled their participation." But that's your brother.
Yeah, it's my little brother. He's really excited to be here just like I am.
Yeah, very good. So, how old is he?
He's 8. He's
8.
going to turn 9 in July.
Okay, very good.
Great.
So, kind of mentoring the next crop of them up.
Oh, yeah. He's really excited.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about all the things you guys are doing this week in terms of cattle wise, contest wise. What's the week look like? Maybe Tripp?
Well, we get up pretty early compared to what I'm used to get out here and get them fed and washed. And then from there, I do contests and stuff like that. Then I try to make every amp that I can. And
Yeah.
I'm also a voting delegate this year, which is pretty cool. It's my first year doing
Yeah.
that. So,
So we've been using AMP, the acronym AMP. You want to talk a little bit about what AMP is?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. AMP stands for Angus Mentoring Program.
Yeah.
It's often led by the junior board, but it's a precious time where young or newer people to junior nationals get mentored by an older, more experienced person. It's a great time that they come together, play games, and really how a lot of people make lasting friendships and what makes this time in Tulsa so special. We do different activities, like they have a booklet that they meet up with throughout the week and touch base again. So
Yeah.
Sure. Very good.
I've heard that reference many times, like folks that were, starting to age out, talking about who their mentor was, and it's just such a cool program for young folks coming in to just start making some connections and finding some folks to look up to, and some folks that you guys have on the junior board and others, just such great. Put a lot of time and care. I was watching it actually earlier today up there, and you could just see a lot of our younger exhibitors just lighten up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat. You talked about being a voting delegate too. Talk about what that responsibility is. And I don't know if you've also been a voting delegate.
Yes,
or
I have. I was the past 2 years, I was able to be a voting delegate, and that was something that I really enjoyed. I like talking about connections. A lot of those people that I talked to, just being a delegate as a candidate, you're supposed to come around and talk to the voting delegates at each state. And being able to talk to those people, I still talk to all of those people every day. And this past year, when I was a delegate, I remember, telling them a little bit about myself, small talk. Oh, where do you want to go to college? I was a senior at that point. What do you want to do? All of that. And being able to come back to this show and other shows that I've seen them at conferences, Lead, Raising the Bar and such, to have them come up to me and be like, hey, Cailee, how's it going? Are you still going to K-State? And have them remember and know who I am. And it was more than just small talk conversation for them to remember who I am, let alone where I'm going to school. That meant so much to me that all it took was a small conversation like that, where just taking on the responsibility of my parents and my advisor. Oh, you should be a delegate. That would be a great experience. But it turned into more for me, and that was something that I really enjoyed and really paid off. It was something that was super special to me to still have those relationships.
Sure. That's cool. So you've been learning all the candidates this week, and
yeah, I kind of got a feel of it last year because they thought I was a delegate last year, which is kind of funny. But it's cool thing because like even though I wasn't a delegate, they would still come and talk to me and make a connection with me, which was really nice. And like this year, I'm getting to know everybody, which is cool because I get to go to the round table deal tonight, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that is neat.
Yeah, so the annual meeting tonight.
Yeah.
So the candidates will give their
kind of platform
presentations,
speeches,
right?
yeah.
Their presentations, and then move around to the tables where you guys as delegates can talk to them each individually and ask them questions and get to know them a little bit more. So it's a pretty cool process. Yeah.
Very good. Well, talk maybe before you get to National Junior Show. Let's like rewind a little bit and back up a little bit. What is the show cattle scene like in your states, and how does that maybe differ from what you hear your friends here talking about?
So in California, it's pretty hot. It's been about between 80 and 95, so not terrible, but we don't have humidity, so that's really nice. So that's something that's different for both me and the cattle. But we have them in a barn under fans, been rinsing and washing every single day, working hair, all of the things that you typically do to get ready for a show. Our trek was pretty long. We left last Monday. So we've been on the road for a while.
Pretty long was an understatement. Yeah, yes. That's over a week already.
And then just packing feed, we have quite a few bags in the trailer. We had to bring a whole separate tack trailer in addition to our trailers with cattle, just to be able to fit all the feed and then obviously all the tack that we need while we're here. But leading up is kind of a lot of just, checking the boxes, making sure we have everything, because when we're on the road in the middle of nowhere, if we need something that's not on our trailer, we're kind of at a loss a little bit. So it's super important to make sure that we have everything that we need for our layover spot as well. So it kind of entailed of a lot of working hair, a lot of keeping them cool and under the fans. And then in that downtime while they were, drying and resting, we were packing the trailer and bedding the trailer and getting all of that ready to come here. So
sure.
And then you laid over about where did you lay over at?
We laid over near Oklahoma City, so about an hour and a half to 2 hours from here. So the trek from there to here was not bad at all. We got in about 9 o'clock, so it was cooler. We just took the cattle straight to tie outs, kind of let them acclimate a little bit to the weather during the night, and then we brought them in the morning and started rinsing and back on our regular routine. So
I think one of the big differences for most of us are from the western side of the United States, New Mexico, Colorado, California. We have less jackpot shows.
Yes.
It's more production based. And you said you had a ranch in New Mexico. Do you want to describe that more, of how that differs from the show ring?
Yeah, we try to not breed as stocky of cattle for out there because we like them to be able to. It's really hilly where I'm from, and mountainy and trees and rocks, and so we try to keep them to where they can travel. So we can't keep as much hair on them as everybody else can down here, and so we try to keep them so they can travel around and have calves and deal with snow and stuff like that of that nature.
I can say that when I went to New Mexico for a Beef Improvement Federation conference a few years ago, I drove from Nebraska down to New Mexico. And as I went in, I thought, man, these cows can survive on not very much grass. And about every 100 miles I'd go further into New Mexico, I thought, these guys can survive on really not much grass. And I kept getting that way all the way through. So
yeah,
gotta have pretty thrifty cattle down there too.
Yeah, we try to acclimate them for a long time and get them used to it, because people have problems with them out there. So we just try to take care of them the best we can.
Sure.
Do you know what your stocking rates are, or what maybe some of the commercial, how many cows per acre, or how many acres per cow?
Yeah,
rather?
that's right.
Yeah.
I personally don't know the exact number, but we try to graze them. We try to graze ours in larger herds and pastures, and when we notice kind of start to go down, we push them around. Every operation from where I am does it a little bit differently, which is pretty cool to learn, because I go and help out at a couple other operations and learn how they do things, which is really cool. And then you come to states like this, and they have lots of grass, and it's crazy how much different.
We're talking cows per acre.
Right.
You're talking cows per section.
Yeah.
And everybody in Oklahoma's like, but what about when you head to Minnesota or Illinois? Exactly.
That's kind of similar to California, because we have a ranch as well. So I live in the Central Valley, where it's about an acre per cow. It's flat. In California, because we don't have humidity, the grass is very dry. We get very little rain. I'm sure Kylie can attest to that as well. In Colorado, relate to that. So with that, in the Central Valley, we have a lot of irrigation and irrigated pasture, where we can run more cattle, obviously, because we're irrigating during the summer. And then we also have a ranch in the foothills, where it's a little bit hilly. So again, it's dry up there. We don't have irrigated pasture up there. So that's more about between 20 to 30 cows per acre. And something we look for that's maybe a little bit different than show cattle is we need them to be able to walk. We need them to be able to get from the hay manger to the water and then back up to, graze in the foothills. So that's something that's super important to us, as well as low birth weight. When we're looking for bulls for our herds, we make sure that we have cattle. We buy a bull that's low birth weight, because we can't be up there every day, because the drive is about 2 hours. So just unrealistic for us to have bulls that have a higher birth weight, for us to be out there checking these cows constantly, because we do as much as we can, of course, but it's just it's a little bit more comforting knowing that we have a bull that has a little bit of a lower, more safe heifer birth weight, so that we don't have to worry about that on top of everything else that's going on up
we
there.
Try to worry about the same kind of deals down there in New Mexico.
We're going to hold there while we hear from today's podcast sponsor.
My name is Nick Jorgensen. I'm the CEO of Jorgensen Land and Cattle here in Ideal, South Dakota. When it comes to getting forages put up, the most important thing for us is getting it done as efficiently as possible. And that's largely dictated by the equipment that you're using. So we've really focused on looking out in the industry and finding the best, most efficient equipment that we can find out there. If you don't have equipment that's reliable and that runs well when you get it in the field and stays running, you're gonna have a hard time. Vermeer products are a big reason that we can get more done in a day.
See how Vermeer helps Angus producers do more at vermeer.com/Angus.
Now we'll pick up right where we left off. So when you're planning on coming to a show, what drives you to say, I'm going to take that extra? I mean, for some people, it's within a couple hours drive, or it's, they're not laying over places. What drives you to say, yeah, it's worth making these extra plans?
It's not just to come down here and show. It's because everybody down here is like family, and it's very heartwarming to come down here, and everybody is so welcoming and just willing to take you in and teach you things. It just makes it even more of a better experience. And my dad says it's a vacation. It's not work. Yeah, which makes it even more fun every day.
You're getting up at 4
I was
a.m.
just going to say that when you set the early alarm clock.
No.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's still a blast every day you're out here.
Sure. Yeah, and Kylie, you would have that same kind of, like you say, you don't have a lot of jackpot shows and things like this, so this is kind of your big chance to get on a national stage or to get seen by a lot of people.
And that's what makes it so special, is it's the time that friends from all across the country come together and we get to see each other in the barns, do fun things, and it's probably how I found my community, especially in the leadership conferences, whether that's Raising the Bar or Lead, which you get to go to for the first time come August, correct?
Yeah, this will be my first year going to Lead, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
That'll be great experience.
Yep.
I'm really excited.
So you've done some of those as well.
Yes, so my first one of those conferences I went to Lead. I went to Lead before Raising the Bar. That was in Lexington, Kentucky in 2022. And previous to that, I had been Angus Junior Nationals in 2022 was my second ever cattle show. I went to my state preview show just a couple weeks before.
Oh my gosh.
So, little calf, new kid to showing cattle. It was definitely something that was a little bit different, and it was a little intimidating as well, because I didn't know anybody, and I was driving, we were driving all the way to Kansas City, Missouri, and I had been to the surrounding states around my state, around California, but I'd never been that far. So being able to see everything was incredible, but also just being welcomed in like I had been there for years. Like Kylie was talking about AMP, that was something that was really important to me. But that year, the thing that was most important and most kind of mind-blowing to me in a good way was lead. Going there, I didn't really have any friends, and I kind of walked in and I was kind of standing off to the side by myself, and I had a couple girls from Iowa. I'll never forget this. They came up to me and they're like, "You don't need to stand by yourself. Come and hang out with us." And they already had a whole friend group. They'd been showing for I don't know exactly how many years, but they'd already been to things like this, and they welcomed me in immediately. They, before they even knew my name, before they knew where I was from, before they knew how long I'd been showing, they were immediately like, "Hey, come hang out with us. We don't want you standing over here by yourself. Meet new people." And that was a blast, being able to relate with two people about, going home and after school and working with your cows instead of going and hanging out with friends. That was something that I was struggling with at that time a little bit with my transition into high school, and being able to have these people that relate to me on the exact same level.
They
and
like
I didn't,
the same stuff I
exactly.
like.
And I never had anyone like that at home. And it was just mind-blowing to me to know that there were other people that, like you're saying, like the same things that I like, enjoy doing the same things that I enjoy doing, and being able to tour all those ranches out there and stuff. That was really truly incredible, and I've enjoyed every single one since then. And I too am going to Washington DC, so I'll see you there, and I'm super excited because I've never been to Washington DC, and I, like Kylie said, I want to go into pre-law. So I'm kind of excited to see, a little bit of the politics and the side of that, that Washington DC offers, and as well as tying into the cattle. I think that's the best part. So
For sure.
We all agree that the community is what brings us back to these things. Do you have a favorite memory with your community around Junior Nationals or anything like that?
Yeah, coming to Junior Nationals, it was kind of hard being just me and my family, but immediately like Texas and Oklahoma and some of them bigger states just took us in like family, and like they're like family to us. Like we go home and we talk to them still, and like we try to plan around when we can hang out and stuff still, like when we drive through their states and stuff, which makes it really nice. Or we try to travel together, which to these deals, which makes it even better.
That's awesome. I'm also from a small state and have family in New Mexico, so I understand like you want to pass through and see those people, the other Angus breeders, and that's what's awesome, is building that network and touching base with them outside of these things, taking that friendship home and getting to reconnect with them.
Oh yeah.
So kind of a practical question. How do you find someone that you say, I want to lay over at a certain spot, or you decide you want to travel together? I mean, how do you logistically make that all work?
Well,
put out a call, I'm desperate, or
we try to plan it before with people when we've done it. We've done it a couple times. We try to see like, hey, we just need
room for a couple more.
Yeah, just for the night. Even if they just stay in the trailer, we can just get them out, walk them around, get them a little more, like let them acclimate to traveling to different elevations and stuff, which is hard for us because they go from very high elevations to low elevations, which gets kind of hard sometimes on the cattle.
Sure. So you just got a place that, hey, we're gonna stop, feed them there.
Even if it's like at a truck stop or something, just to give them like maybe a couple extra hours just to acclimate before you drop them too low, which really helps.
Sure. Yeah. And same way for you, or do you have the same stops planned out? Like every time we head east, we stop here.
Yes, so we do have, it kind of depends. So if we're heading up we go to the Nile show in Billings, Montana, and we always stop in a fairgrounds in Wyoming. It's a nice fairgrounds that has like horse stalls and stuff. We're able to keep them there for the night, kind of get some sleep, and then get rolling back in the morning. But I think truly it comes from, if we're staying at a person's house or a person's ranch, I think it comes from the connections that, my family's made or my breeders made. It's like, those connections that they've had for years. It's like, hey, we're like for this, hey, we're going to Tulsa, Oklahoma for Junior Nationals. Do you have any room in your barn or any runs open that we could, lay over for a night with the cattle or a couple of days, whatever it may take? And it's those connections that we've built where it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like, we're so glad you're coming this way, that kind of thing. So I think that that's super important. And like you said, it just kind of depends for us. It depends on where we're going, but it's definitely something that we kind of touch bases with ahead of time. And I truly think it comes from the connections and the people that you meet, and those lifelong friendships that everyone talks about. For sure.
I think it's one of those things I think we almost take for granted in this business is, and I see it sometimes like in a winter storm and somebody's out traveling across somebody and such, I-70's closed, and you'll see it on social media. It's like, hey, come on over, come on. I mean, there's just like this friend network, and this network comes out of all of these connections and relationships, and folks are just so, I always feel like I could drive across the country and not be like 50 miles from somebody I could pick up the phone and could come help, right?
Absolutely. You have a
yeah.
flat tire in
Absolutely.
some state, and
That's
you
what
can call
makes that
someone.
community so unique, especially the Angus breed, and so special for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, so cool.
I think I have heard JP say that when he sent Allie off to college so far away. He said, well, I know that she wouldn't be within a stone's throw of somebody that I could call and say, hey, could you help her out if she had car trouble? So,
Yeah.
very cool. So when you're thinking about those layovers, I'm back to the practical aspect of this. When you're thinking about those layovers and how you're does that change how you pack your trailer and what stuff you've got to have access to versus what can be kind of buried? I'm just thinking, I have 6 kids, so when I pack for vacation, it's a lot of logistics and you can bring kids into a Motel 6. You can't do that with cattle. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom has like a go bag in the trailer, so like
go bag.
is what she calls it. And so if we needed to like stop somewhere, we have clothes, and then we try to keep some feed kind of closer to the out of the trailer. So like if we had to, we could get the calves feed, keep the buckets out there, so we could take care of them and take care of ourselves too, which makes it nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Generally, depending on the string that we're bringing, we'll mix feed kind of that morning or the night before or whatever, whenever we're leaving, depending on the day, and we'll pack them in the back of the trailer. We'll usually put like a feed sack on top or something just so that it doesn't blow out or get rained on, and then we usually stop and we feed them and we water them a couple of times, again depending on the distance, and then for layover spots, we really for this trip specifically, we had a separate trailer coming with tack and then all the feed that we needed for the show specifically. So on our trailers that we took straight to the layover spot, we had the feed and we had it lined up instead of having all of one type of grain in the front and then whatever else. We had it
by days.
Exactly. So we had a bag of each thing in a row, etc., so that we didn't have to dig all the way in the back of the trailer for that one bag of grain that we need. That's all the way in the back. Made it a little bit easier and a little bit more convenient for us. And that's just kind of how we do it. We just kind of have to play it by ear and kind of play it depending on the distance, the string that we have, and the weather.
For sure. And I don't know if we covered what you guys have for cattle here this week. Somebody want to,
yeah. Go ahead, Cailee.
I just have a pair.
Okay.
I have a big May cow. Her name's Shelby. I exhibited her last year here, and she was reserve division in the intermediate heifer calf division. So that was something that was really cool. I'd never done that well at a junior national. I got a buckle. I was so excited. That was such a great experience. Another one I'll never forget. And then this year, she had a calf on May 4th. So coming up on the 4th of July, she'll be 2 months old. Her name is Eleanor. We call her Ellie. She's super cute. She's the sweetest thing ever. And I'm super excited to show both of them. This is my first time doing a cow-calf pair. It's been a lot. It's been a little bit different than the heifer thing for sure. But it's also been a lot. There's been a lot that I've learned from and I've really enjoyed. And I think that this was definitely a new experience for me, but I'm so glad that I did it because I've learned so many things. And, just being able, I've never halter broke a calf this young and such. So stuff like that, it's just been a learning experience and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I'm super, super excited to be here to show her.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Those young calves you think would be easier because they're little,
but
they have a lot of energy.
Oh yeah, they do. I've been taking them through tie-outs and walking out in that ring out there, and my calf, I have to take a wrap on my hand because she likes to buck around or bury her head in the dirt and run through the dirt, and it's crazy. She's having fun though. She's enjoying herself, and so far she's doing good with the weather and the distance and stuff, knock on wood. So I'm super excited.
Very good.
And Tripp, what do you bring?
Yeah.
I brought personally one, but my brother also brought one, and it's his first year and he's still learning a lot. So my dad didn't want me to bring as many, so I could help him a lot and it's kind of teach him the ropes of at a show and taking care of his own calf, which really makes it nice for him and me personally. So I'm not having to take care, do my stuff and then his too to help teach him, which is really cool. And that's the cool thing about being here is everybody's willing to help you if you need something. So I wouldn't feel bad asking for somebody to help because everybody's so helpful around here, which makes it nice.
Yeah. So did you, when you were selecting calves, do you get to pick the best one first and then your brother picks next, or how's that work?
Well, so this year my dad was really looking for a more docile calf so he wouldn't be dragged around. My mom is still frightened to death about it, but we're trying to keep good calves around that'll just be sweet for him his first year. We're not trying to win anything big with his first year. We're just trying to
have a good experience.
Have a good experience in which he's already loved it. He's gone to all the AMP stuff. He has having excited with all his buddies. He goes and tells them hi every day and helps them with his calf. So it's been really fun for him.
Yeah, I love that. Very good.
Cool.
I'd see you writing a question down, Kylie. Do you have a question you're burning, like
No,
a burning question to ask?
it was thoughts for later, but you
Yeah.
were talking about the logistical aspects of
Yeah.
connection within the Angus community, and one of the ways that our generation gets to stay connected are these iPhones right here, and it makes planning layovers and stuff like that way easier. Do you think that's helped you guys stay more connected with your Angus community or less?
I feel way more connected because I have friends that are from Texas and Tennessee and just all over the country that, like, every night I feel like we call each other. I call somebody that I've met at National Junior Angus just to talk to them. And
You call?
yeah, we call like almost
Cool.
every
Yeah.
night. Yeah.
I have to
Well,
remind
you're
my
not
kids
such an
sometimes that these are
antique.
actually phones you can actually
Yeah.
call with. Yeah.
And then it's what the other nice thing is we'll give each other advice on our calves, or like we'll see something where, oh, do you try this to help her or something, which makes it really nice because then it's just not you off by yourself. It's a whole
Yep.
community trying to help you, and it's not cutthroat. Everybody's just trying to help you, which makes it really nice.
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
really cool.
I think for me it's helped, and I agree with what Kylie's saying. Is there's no denying that cell phones are a big part of our generation, and I think being able to, I have some friends in Iowa, some friends in Georgia. I mean, you name it, and I know someone from the Angus Association there, and being able to, see their Instagram stories or posts of, hey, I was at this show and this is how I did, and being able to say, hey, congrats, I'm so proud of you, whether that's, a comment on a post or texting them. And we have kind of with some of the kids in my age group, we have a little Angus group chat. We kind of rename it depending on the situation of our life, college and whatnot. But being able to kind of keep up and, we'll send memories back to each other of, hey, look at this from lead of last year, and just being able to text like, how are y'all doing? And being able to do that, I think that really kind of keeps you in contact with these people, and it's not something that drifts away. And even if you do, if you stop texting or whatever for whatever reason, you go and see them at lead, at junior nationals, at Raising the Bar, you pick up like you've never left off. And I think that that's really cool. And I do think that having social media and cell phones has helped with keeping those connections tight.
For sure. And also, I think sometimes makes me more aware of like what's happening across the country, or if people are dealing with drought, or people are dealing with, some kind of natural disaster, or those kind of things that maybe you wouldn't have
definitely
heard of before, but now
Yes.
you kind of have a little bit of an awareness of what's happening.
Yeah, I've had some people text me, hey, are you near the fire in California? And it's like, how do you know about that? Like, that's cool that they, one,
Care.
that they, yes, one, that they care for sure, but two, that they're able to see that, whether that's made, television or even just on social media. I think that that's really cool that, that they check in, but also that they're able to know because we have devices like this.
For sure.
Yeah, that was last week back where we're from. There was fires all week, and like I texted friends and asked them if they needed to bring cattle to my house or horses or whatever. And then I had some friends call me from like Texas, and like one from Tennessee called me and asked me if we were okay and if we needed anything. Or it's crazy how they stay connected like family.
Yeah, that's really neat.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So someone's listening to this and they've not ever maybe come to the National Junior Angus Show or been to a lead or Raising the Bar, and they maybe see the pictures and this is a big event, there's thousands of people. What's your advice for somebody that's maybe a little apprehensive or a little bit hesitant to jump into those kind of big waters?
I think stepping out of your comfort zone is the way that you grow as a person, the way that you grow as a friend, and the way that you grow as a leader, perhaps. I think when I went to my first National Junior Angus Show, I was scared out of my mind, just for the same exact reasons. Huge show, wonderful cattle, so many people, and it's a little overwhelming, and it still is. But I think that going to these conferences now, I'm flying to Washington, D.C., by myself, and I'm not nervous about it at all because I know I'm going to get there and I'm going to have almost literal family there because of how close I am with these people. And I think that no matter how scared you are, and I was also scared going to my first lead, but it's like people like that, those girls from Iowa that came up to me and they were like, hey, come and hang out with us. It's like, boom, worry's gone, because all that it took was, people like that, which we're surrounded by in the breed, come up to you and welcome you into their friendship, welcome you into their family. And I think that while it is scary, I think that those connections that you make with people, I think it lessens the burden, and I think that it kind of makes you feel more confident with coming here. Is even if you don't have, a grand champion heifer, you can still come here and you can still have tons of fun and meet so many new people and learn more, so that one day you can work up to that point.
That's great
Great
advice.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing. Just stepping out of your comfort zone is big here. And then, like, don't be afraid to go up to somebody if you see them doing something and ask a question. That was one of the biggest things that I for a couple of years now, I've been trying to improve my clipping. And, like, at first, I was so scared to ask people, like, stuff when I watched them clip. And now I go up and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And, like, how do I do it here? And, like, it makes it a lot nicer to go out and, like, actually talk to people and learn from them. And then you can, like, later down the road, you teach other people it too, which is amazing.
So just kind of pass it on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I bet Kylie's got some good advice too. Have you had time to think about it? Any advice to anybody who's coming for the first time?
And I know you guys work with a lot of first-time exhibitors and be very intentional with first-time folks and help them get plugged in.
Yeah, I would definitely want to echo what these two said and step out of your comfort zone. But I also think whenever it comes to an organization or a culture like this, it's not so much what it can give to you, but what you can contribute back to it. And I think that's what makes Angus so special, is people pouring into the community and the culture and investing in it. And so I'd encourage juniors to look for a way that they can make someone else's day or help them, like whether they're answering someone's questions about clipping or whether they're providing them a layover spot. I think finding ways to give is the best way to go about that.
And you guys, I think about it too, are all unique in that you come from state where your state associations aren't. I mean, there's some states that have, they've got 50, 60, 70 kids
over
here, right? So it's
so,
like you've got their own built-in community just within their state. You guys come from maybe states that have a little bit smaller delegation, which is kind of a pretty cool opportunity. It almost forces you out of your comfort zone at times, right? Because you don't have that built-in community to go build these wonderful ones that you guys have all talked about. So it is a little bit unique in each of your situations. Yeah.
So we've kept you guys at the end of what's been a very busy day for all of you. Is there anything that we haven't asked you about that you wanted to add? Otherwise, I have a random question of the week. Everybody's shaking their heads. Yeah.
I just think it's fun. We're sitting here talking about community, and back behind us, I don't know if it's going to come through in the podcast. We've got, I don't know how many. It's starting to break up a little bit, but it was looks like an impromptu volleyball game that broke out. And there was like 40 kids down there in the show arena that just decided to just play volleyball. And just
I'm not sure if it's volleyball or dodgeball or
something.
Kickball.
It's something with a ball and a gate.
Right.
But
and kids.
And kids having a blast, right? And I think that's what's so fun to walk around, and whether it's kids throwing, cornhole or whatever they're doing, it's just been. And again, I'm guessing these aren't kids that maybe even knew each other, 3 days ago, right? And so as we're talking about community, I think that was just such a cool backdrop to have behind us, right?
Absolutely, great addition, Mark.
Thanks.
Anybody else have anything to add? Otherwise, random question of the week. Don't think about it too hard. What has to go in the cooler when you're packing for the long road trip?
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Well, I agree. Dr. Pepper is my favorite drink of all time. It has to be there.
Yes.
Maybe we can get this sponsored.
Yeah.
Pepper,
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. How about you, Kylie?
Our family loves energy drinks, which is a terrible thing to be drinking. But there's always like a bubbler or a bang of some sort. So we enjoy those as a road trip motivation to keep on driving.
Yeah.
Stay awake.
Sometimes you need
Bubbler's
those.
natural caffeine.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. How about in your cooler, Mark?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I try not to drink as much soda, so I'm kind of an Arnold Palmer fan. So sometimes the pre-made sweet tea and lemonades are kind of my
the
go-to.
pre-made one though is never as
They're
good.
never
as
as good.
Yeah.
I have to go get like a Sonic one or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm a fountain
They have
diet
the
Coke
good
gal,
ice.
so anywhere we just stop. But you can't take the rig through a lot of the places where I'd want to get a
know.
fountain diet Coke. So
Yeah.
very
Good
good.
deal.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to visit with us, and also for adding to this Angus community. I know as much as you've talked about the connections you've made, that there's going to be people that listen to this podcast and say, yep, they were that person for me too. So thank
Or
you so
inspired
much.
to maybe take the next step and get out of their comfort zone and maybe look at going to a Raising the Bar or Lead, or
I hope so.
coming to a National Junior Show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
That's
thanks
great.
for joining
Awesome.
us today.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you guys so
And
much.
Have an awesome week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
Thank you guys.
It's been a great week here in Tulsa at the National Junior Angus Show, and we've just wrapped up with our third and final edition of the Junior Takeover. For continued coverage from Tulsa, be sure to subscribe to the AJ Daily, where you get a daily dose of news delivered to your inbox. This has been the Angus Conversation, an Angus Journal podcast.